ഹായ് എല്ലാവർക്കും നമസ്കാരം. ഇന്ന് നമ്മൾ ചർച്ച ചെയ്യുന്നത് ചോദ്യങ്ങളും ഉത്തരങ്ങൾ. അപ്പോൾ തുടങ്ങാം. ശരി.
Let's read and reflect. The story War reveals how war shatters the hearts of the affected families. Now, think about how it would feel to be misunderstood or wrongly judged. How would you react if your honesty is questioned? Let's read a piece of String by Guy de Maupassant, a story that depicts the pain of being falsely accused. A piece of string. Guy de Maupassant. Along all the roads around Goderville, the peasants and their wives were coming to the town because it was market day. Some led a cow or a calf by a cord, and their wives, walking behind the animal, whipped it with a leafy branch to hasten its progress. In the public square of Goderville, there was a crowd, a throng of human beings and animals. Hodgcombe had just arrived at Goderville, and he was walking towards the public square. Then he saw a little piece of string on the ground. He thought that everything useful ought to be picked up. He took the bit of thin cord from the ground and began to roll it carefully. Then he noticed Malandan on the threshold of his door, looking at him. They were on bad terms with each other. Hodgcombe was seized with shame to be seen thus by his enemy. He concealed his find quickly in his trousers pocket. He pretended to be looking on the ground for something else. Then, he went towards the market. He was soon lost in the noisy crowd. Soon, the square was deserted. At the tavern, the great hall was full of people eating. An appetizing odor of roast meat rose from the hearth which made everybody's mouth water. The dishes were passed and emptied, as were the jugs of cider. The peasants discussed the crops, and their purchases and sales. The weather was favorable for the green things, but not for the wheat. Suddenly the drum beat in the courtyard outside the tavern. Everybody rose, except a few, and ran to the door or to the windows, their mouths still full. After the public crier had ceased his drum beating, he called out in a jerky voice, "This is hereby made known to the inhabitants of Goderville, and to all persons present at the market, there was lost this morning on the road, between 9 and 10 o'clock, a black leather pocket-book containing 500 francs and some business papers. The finder is requested to return the same with all haste to the mayor's office. There will be 20 francs reward." Then the man went away, and the peasants began to talk of this event. They discussed the chances of finding or not finding the pocketbook. They were finishing their coffee when a chief of the gendarmes appeared. He inquired, "Is Mr. Hodgcombe here?" Hodgcombe, seated at the other end of the table, replied, "Here I am." And the officer resumed, "Mr. Hodgcombe, will you please accompany me to the mayor's office? The mayor would like." Then the man went away, and the peasants began to talk of this event. They discussed the chances of finding or not finding the pocketbook. They were finishing their coffee when a chief of the gendarmes appeared. He inquired, "Is Mr. Hodgcombe here?" Hodgcombe, seated at the other end of the table, replied, "Here I am." And the officer resumed, "Mr. Hodgcombe, will you please accompany me to the mayor's office? The mayor would like." The countryman was astounded. He looked at the mayor. He was terrified by this suspicion resting on him. Me? Me pick up the pocketbook? Yes, you, yourself. Word of honor, I never heard of it. But you were seen. I was seen, me. Who says he saw me? Mr. Malandan, the harness maker. The old man remembered, understood, and flushed with anger. "Ah, he saw me, he saw me pick up this string here, Your Honor. And rummaging in his pocket, he drew out the little piece of string. But the mayor, incredulous, shook his head. You will not make me believe, Mr. Hodgcombe, that Mr. Mullenden, who is a man worthy of credence, mistook this cord for a pocketbook. After picking up the object, you stood there, looking a long while in the mud to see if any piece of money had fallen out. The good old man choked with indignation and fear. How can anyone tell such lies to take away an honest man's reputation? There was no use in his protesting, nobody believed him. He was confronted with Mullenden, who repeated and maintained his affirmation. At his own request Hodgcombe was searched, nothing was found on him. Finally, the mayor, very much perplexed, discharged him. As he left the mayor's office, the old man was surrounded and questioned by the villagers. He began to tell the story of the string. No one believed him. They laughed at him. He went along, stopping his friends, showing his pockets turned inside out to prove that he had nothing. They said, Old rascal, get out. The next day about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, an employee in a shop returned the pocketbook. The man claimed to have found the object in the road. Not knowing how to read, he had given it to his employer. The news spread through the neighborhood. Hodgcombe was informed of it. He immediately began to recount his story with its happy climax. He was in triumph. He talked of his adventure all day long. He told it on the highway to people who were passing by, in the wine shop to people who were drinking there, and to persons coming out of church the following Sunday. He stopped strangers to tell them about it. He was calm now, and yet something disturbed him. People had the air of joking while they listened. They did not seem convinced. He seemed to feel that remarks were being made behind his back. The next Tuesday, he went to the market at Gauderville just to discuss the case. Mullenden, standing at his door, began to laugh on seeing him pass. When he was seated at the table in the tavern, he began to explain the affair. A horse dealer called out to him, Come, come, old fellow, that's an old trick, I know all about your piece of string. Hodgcombe stammered, but since the pocketbook was found. The other man replied, Shut up, there is one that finds, and there is one that reports. At any rate you are mixed up with it. The peasant stood choking. He understood. They accused him of having the pocketbook returned by an accomplice. He tried to protest. All the table began to laugh. He could not finish his dinner and went away in the midst of jeers. He went home ashamed and indignant, choking with anger and confusion. His innocence was impossible to prove, and he was stricken to the heart by the injustice of the suspicion. Then he began to recount the adventure again, prolonging his history every day. Each time he added new reasons, more energetic protestations, more solemn oaths. Those are lying excuses, they said behind his back. The people now made him talk about the string to amuse them. His mind, touched to the depth, began to weaken. Towards the end of December, he took to his bed. He died in the first days of January, and in the delirium of his death struggles he kept claiming his innocence, reiterating, a piece of string, look here it is, Your Honor, the mayor.
കഥ ഇത്രയേ ഉള്ളൂ. ഈ കഥ എഴുതിയതാരാ നോക്കാം, അതിനുശേഷം ഉത്തരം നോക്കാം.
About the author. Guy de Maupassant, 1850 to 1893, was a French author, celebrated as a master of the short story. He has written over 300 short stories, 6 novels, 3 travel books, and a volume of verse. Maupassant was the subject of one of Leo Tolstoy's essays on art, The Works of Guy de Maupassant. The Diamond Necklace is one of Maupassant's best-known stories. Let's rewind. 1. Hotcom picks up a piece of string, but his innocent action is misunderstood. Have you had a similar experience of being misunderstood by others? Describe your personal experience or that of someone you know. 2. Does Malandan actually believe that Hotcom took the pocketbook? Give reasons. 3. Hotcom keeps on claiming his innocence until his death. Write a short paragraph on his sense of honor and dignity. Once, I had an experience in school that was very similar to Hotcom's. One day, I picked up a pen that had fallen on the floor and placed it on the teacher's desk. A little while later, someone complained that their pen was missing. Everyone thought I had taken it. Even though I explained that I had simply put it on the desk, no one believed me. Later, when the camera footage was checked, it proved that I was telling the truth. That day left me feeling very disappointed. Just like Hotcom, a small, innocent action of mine was misunderstood by others, and it caused me great distress. Malandan does not actually believe that Hotcom took the pocketbook. Instead, his accusation is influenced by their personal grudge and animosity rather than by any real conviction or evidence of guilt. Malandan saw Hotcom pick up and roll a piece of string, but he used this opportunity to harm Hotcom's reputation because they were on bad terms. Hotcom's strong sense of honor and dignity is central to his character in the piece of string. Being a simple, honest villager, he values his reputation above all else. When falsely accused of theft, he becomes deeply disturbed, knowing that his good name is being tarnished. Despite repeatedly explaining the truth, no one believes him, and the humiliation weighs heavily on his spirit. His relentless insistence on his innocence, even until his dying breath, reflects both his pride and his inability to live peacefully under the shadow of dishonor, showing how deeply personal integrity mattered to him. Let's recall and recreate. 1. Hotcom has a strong and determined nature. His sense of justice impels him to defend himself tirelessly. He tries to justify himself even when everyone mistrusts him. Prepare a character sketch of Hotcom. Hotcom is a proud and sensitive Norman peasant from Guy de Maupassant's story, The Piece of String. He is honest and hard-working but overly concerned with his reputation. Hotcom's strong and determined nature is seen in how he keeps trying to prove his innocence after being wrongly accused of stealing a wallet. His sense of justice drives him to defend himself before everyone, even when people mock or ignore him. He cannot bear the shame of being thought a thief and repeatedly explains how he merely picked up a piece of string. However, his constant attempts to justify himself show his insecurity and pride. Instead of accepting that people will not believe him, he continues to protest his innocence until it destroys his peace of mind. In the end, Hotcom's obsession with proving his honesty leads to his downfall, making him a tragic figure caught between truth and mistrust. Hotcom's character reveals the cruelty of public opinion and the pain of an honest man misunderstood by society. 2. In a piece of string, Hotcom dies in shame and humiliation because of the attitude of society. Prepare a write-up on how society can make or break an individual, drawing on the story and your personal knowledge and experience. Society has the power to shape an individual's life, reputation, and self-worth. In Guy de Maupassant's short story, A Piece of String, this truth is clearly illustrated through the character of Hodgkin, a simple peasant who becomes a victim of society's harsh judgment. Hodgkin picks up a small piece of string in the marketplace, an innocent act that people misinterpret as theft. Although he tries to prove his innocence, no one believes him. The public's suspicion and gossip destroy his peace of mind, and he dies in shame and humiliation. This shows how quickly society can condemn a person based on rumors rather than facts. Once someone's reputation is stained, it is almost impossible to restore it, even if they are innocent. In real life too, people often face similar situations. Society tends to judge others by appearances or hearsay instead of understanding the truth. A person's hard work and honesty can be overlooked simply because of a single misunderstanding or false accusation. Social media today works in a similar way. Public opinion can lift someone to fame or ruin their life overnight. In conclusion, society holds great power over an individual's dignity and happiness. It can help a person grow through support, trust, and kindness, or it can destroy them through prejudice, gossip, and unjust judgment. Therefore, it is our duty to be fair, compassionate, and understanding toward others, remembering that words and opinions can make or break a life. 3. Hodgkin is devastated when he is falsely accused of stealing the pocketbook. No one believes him. He couldn't control his emotions. He pours out his feelings in his diary. Prepare the likely diary entry. Diary entry, Hodgkin. Date, October 10. Oh, what a terrible day this has been. My heart feels heavy with pain and humiliation. I, Hodgkin, an honest man, have been called a thief by the very people I have known all my life. All this suffering for picking up a mere piece of string, I tried to explain, I begged them to believe me, but no one listened. They all laughed behind my back, whispering that I am a liar. Even when the real pocketbook was found, their eyes still held doubt. Is an honest man's word worth nothing in this world? I cannot bear the shame. Wherever I go, I feel their mocking looks. My spirit is broken, and my heart cries for justice that never came. Why must an innocent soul suffer so much because of others' cruelty? I only wish they would understand before it is too late. 4. The news of the missing pocketbook spreads like wildfire, and Hodgkin is seen as the likely thief. You are an inhabitant of Gauderville, and you come across Hodgkin on your way to the market. Prepare the likely conversation between you and Hodgkin. Here is a likely conversation between Hodgkin and an inhabitant of Gauderville. Inhabitant, good morning, Hodgkin. I heard some troubling news at the market. Folks are saying you picked up the lost pocketbook. Is it true, Hodgkin? No. I only picked up a bit of string, I swear it. They've made a mistake, a terrible mistake. I explained it all to the mayor. Inhabitant, but people say they saw you bending down right where the pocketbook was found. Hodgkin, exactly. That's the trouble. Everyone saw me pick up something, but it was just a piece of string. I even showed it to Malandan, the harness maker. Inhabitant, it's hard to convince people once the rumor spreads. Are you sure you've told everyone the truth, Hodgkin? I've told everyone again and again. Yet no one believes me. They laugh behind my back. It's cruel, I tell you. Inhabitant, don't worry too much, Hodgkin. The truth will come out soon. Keep your head up and don't lose heart. Hodgkin, I hope so, my friend. But words travel faster than truth in this town. Would you like me to make this conversation sound more emotional or more formal? Condolences. 5. After Hodgcombe dies, the mayor appears deeply remorseful and troubled. He writes a letter of condolence to Hodgcombe's wife. Write the likely letter. Dear Madam Hodgcombe, I am writing with a heavy heart to offer my deepest condolences on the untimely death of your husband. In these moments of sorrow, words seem inadequate to express the sorrow I feel for you and your family. Hodgcombe was a man of quiet integrity and steadfastness, and though I may have failed to recognize his true worth in life, his loss has made me reflect on the weight of our judgments and the ease with which we are swift to accuse. His passing has left a void in our town that cannot be easily filled, and I am profoundly grieved that he bore the brunt of a burden he did not deserve. Please know that I take full responsibility for the pain his name and reputation endured during the time of trial. If there is any solace I can offer, or any manner in which I might assist you or your family in these trying days, I am at your disposal. May you find comfort in the memory of the man he was, patient, honest, and compassionate to those who needed him. May you be granted the strength to endure the days ahead, and may the sorrow gradually give way to a measure of peace. With deepest sympathy and in sincere sorrow, name. Mayor of Town.